Hello everyone, good afternoon to all of you. Welcome to our new session of the e-learning class. I am Rashmi Ranjan Mishra, lecturer of UN Autonomous College of Science and Technology. Today I am going to discuss on a subject regarding business and corporate law. So on today's class we will discuss on a chapter that is digital signature and a regulation of certifying authority. So let us come together, watch my video, listen. If you have doubt, then you can give your comment in the comment sections. So what is the basic contents relating to our today's class? The first one is introduction, then motivation, how digital signature work, what is its application, what are the merits of digital signature, what are the demerits of digital signature, and the last part, that is conclusion. So now we are going to discuss the introduction part. What is meant by digital signature? A digital signature is a mathematical scheme which is used to authenticate the sender of an electronic document. That means it is nothing but it is one type of an attachment to any piece of electronic information which represents the content of the document and identity of the owner that document uniquely. That means a digital signature is nothing but it is one type of an attachment to any piece of electronic information which is represents the basic contents of the documents and also the identity of the owner that the document uniquely. To provide authenticity, integrity and non-repudiation to electronic document, the digital signature is used in present scenario. There is a chances of malpractice or there is a chances of any type of fraud is made when any type of documentary process is made physically. So in order to avoid that problem, to maintain integrity as well as to maintain the authenticity and a non-repudiation, in present scenario, the digital signature is rapidly used in electronic documents. The second one is to use the internet as a safe and a secure medium for e-commerce and e-governance. So in present scenario, everywhere there is e-commerce or the transaction is made electronically, as well as all type of activities, that is the governance system is also made in electronically. So in order to maintain that or to use the internet as the safe and a secure medium, the digital signature is used in e-commerce as well as various types of e-governance activities. So what is the basic requirement of a digital signature? The first one is private key, second one is public key. So what is that private key? The private key is one which is accessible only to the signer. That means the person who used the digital signature, only to that particular person the private key is assigned. It is used to generate the digital signature which is then attached to the message. At the time of sending the information from the sender to the hands of the receiver, in order to create the or to generate the digital signature, basically the private key is assigned to the sender of the message. Then the another one is, that is public key. Public key that is made available to all those who received the signed message from the sender. So when the sender sends the message to the receiver, so anyone to whom the message is sent by the sender, they all access that information by using the public key. So public key that is made available to all those who receive the information from the sender. It is used for verification of the received message. Only that public key certifies or that signifies that the sender when send the message, whether that is verified by the receiver or not. In order to verify that message by the receiver, the public key is assigned to them and it is all accessible. That means anybody can access the public key, but the private key only the sender who sent the message that can be accessible. Next, what is digital certificate? A subscriber of the private key and public key pairs makes the public key available to those who are intended to receive the signed message from the subscriber. But in case of any dispute between two sides, from the sender as well as from the receiver, there must be some entity with the receiver which will allow the receiver of the message to prove that the message was sent by the subscriber of the key pair. and this can be done with the digital signature certificate. So digital signature certificate that signifies that in case of any dispute made from the sender as well as the receiver, there must be some entity in which the receiver must allow to message or to prove that the message which was sent by the subscriber of the key pair that is made accessible by the receiver, or the sender who sent the message, the receiver that access easily, and the subscriber of the key pair is known as the digital signature certificate, or through digital signature certificate the public key available to those who are intended to receive the message. So this is the process of a digital signature algorithm. One is signature generation, another one is signature verification. So when signature generation is there, first one is message or data, then hash function, then message is digest, and the next one is signature generation. This is made through private key. And a signature verification, the same process, message which is received by the receiver, then hash function, then message digest by the receiver, and finally the signature verification made by the receiver. So when sender send the message, that case signature generate is made, and that is made through private key, and when the receiver receive the message, the signature verification is made, and that is made through public key, and the receiver check it whether it is valid or invalid, that is made through public key assignment or through signature verification. The detailed process of digital signature, how does it works? So the first one is here, the user is there, then the message is transmitted by the user A, then it is digest and encryption is made by the private key, and finally that is received by the user B through the public key. Where the digital signature applied, the application of a digital signature, first the electronic mail, second one is data storage, then in case of electronic fund transfer, and in case of a software distribution, in case of a smart card, ISDN, then a time stamped signature, or in case of a blind signature, everywhere the digital signature is present scenario applied. Then the next one is what are the merits as well as the demerit. The first part that is relating to the merit. The merit part, that is authentication, identification of the person that signs. That means digital signature is made available to the persons those send the message. That means from the sender point of view to the receiver point of view. So when the private key is assigned to the sender, in that case that provides or that signifies the authentication. Then the second one is integrity of data. That means every change will be detected. Then the third merit point, that is non-repudiation, because the author cannot be denied of his work. That means the signature is created only through the private key, and the private key when it is assigned, that only accessed by the sender, no one can access it. So there is no chance of any duplication. So non-repudiation is also made. And the next point, that is impostor prevention. That means there is elimination of possibility of committing fraud. There is no chance of any type of a fraud or a malpractice when digital signature is made, that avoids that or that protects that. But there is certain demerit. The first one is expiry. In this era of fast technological advancement, many of these technical products have a short shelf life. So when digital signature is assigned, in that case that is valid for certain period, and when that period overs, that signifies the expiry, and the person concerned or the organization concerned must have to apply for or a renewal for that. So that is one demerit in case of expiry. The second point, that is certificate. In order to effectively use digital signature, both sender and a recipient may have to buy the digital certificate. So when the message is transmitted from the sender point of view to the receiver point of view, so both have to assign the key, and in that case they must have to buy the digital certificate. So there may be certain problem arises in case of taking the or purchasing that digital certificate. Then the next one is software. To work with digital certificate, sender and recipient must have to buy verification software at a cost, which signifies the cost. When the verification is made, both sender as well as the receiver, they must have to purchase the verification software, which can be made by depositing certain amount of fees. So the cost is one of the demerit or disadvantages. Then finally, we conclude that digital signature are difficult to understand. So the person concerned or the organization concerned, those are not having that type of experience and knowledge, they cannot use that digital signature. So it is very difficult to understand. Digital signature will be championed by many players that the public districts, including national security agencies, law enforcement agencies, and consumer marketing companies. But almost all organizations in present scenario or different agencies are there, both at the private as well as the government level. They include or they taking into consideration that digital signatures for speedy and a quick settlement of all type of a transaction which is made through electronic form. Now we are going to discuss what is the regulation of a certifying authority. So who are the certifying authority? They issue that digital signature certificate or digital signature. So first we have to know what is certifying authority. Certifying authority means the professional agencies or individual or any corporate bodies, those possess certain technical skill to issue the digital signature certificate to those who want to send the secured e-records. So different professional agency or individual or corporate bodies, those are having the technical skill. So they possess the digital signature issue certificate, and those wants to send the secured e-records. So in India there are two prominent agencies, that is National Informatics Center, that is NIC, and another one is Tata Consultancy Services, TCS, are the among leading certifying authority. So in order to create the certifying authority or eligible for certifying authority, there must be appointment of a controller as well as other officers or the members. So the central government may by notification in official gazette appoint a controller of a certifying authority for the purpose of the act, and also by the same or subsequent notification appoint the deputy controller as well as the assistant controller as it deems or desires fit. So the controller as well as the deputy controller or assistant controller all are appointed by the government of India, and this is made through a notification passed in the official gazette. Then the controller shall discharge his function under this act subject to the general control and direction of a central government. So the controller who is appointed, that is eligible or that provides all type of instruction or direction as per the supervision made by the government of India. The deputy controller as well as the assistant controller, they shall perform the function assigned by the controller. After assignment of a controller, the controller shall provide all type of duties and responsibility to the deputy controller or to the assistant controller. Then the qualification, experience, terms and condition of a service of a controller, deputy controller as well as assistant controller should be such as prescribed by the central government. So government of India prescribes everything relating to the qualification, relating to experience as well as the terms and condition. The head office and branch office of the controller shall be at such place as the government of India may specify, and these may be established at all such places as the central government may think fit. So whenever central government thinks that it is fit to implement or establish the office, that office can be established at the particular location when government of India specify that or thinks fit it. There shall be a seal of the office of the controller. Every controller, they are having the seal. So what is the duties of the controller? The first one is exercising supervision over the activities of a certifying authority. As the controller, he or she have all responsibility to supervise all the activities of the certifying authority. Then certifying the public key of the certifying authority. And the third one is laying down the standards to be maintained by the certifying authority. That means what are the rules and regulation or guidelines of the standards that are prescribed, whether the certifying authority conducting that or not, that should be supervised by the controller. Then specifying all the qualification, experience of the employees of the certifying authority. Then specifying the conditions subject to which the certifying authority shall conduct their business. The guideline or the condition according to that all the certifying authority they shall conduct the business. Then specify the contents of a written, printed or visual materials as well as the advertisement which may be distributed or used in respect of a digital signature certificate. And the next one is specifying the forms as well as the contents of the digital signature certificate and also relating to the private key or public key. Then other functions specifying the form and the manner in which accounts shall be maintained. There shall be prescribed form in which the accounts shall be maintained by the certifying authority, and this should be specified by the controller. Then the next function is specifying the terms and conditions subject to which the auditors may be appointed. And another function is facilitating the establishment of all electronic system by certifying authority either slowly or jointly. Next, specifying the manner in which the certifying authority shall conduct their dealings. And the next function, that is resolving all type of a conflict of interest between certifying authority and the subscriber. At any time, any type of a problem or conflict will arise between authority or the subscriber. Then in that case, controller have all the responsibility to resolve all type of a conflicts. Then the controller also laying down the duties of the certifying authority, and a controller also maintain a database containing the disclosure of all the records of every certifying authority, which contains the particulars as may be specified by regulation which are accessible by the publics. Then recognition of a foreign certifying authority, whether the foreign certifying authority are recognized in Government of India or not, subject to certain condition and restriction as may be specified by the regulation. The controller may, with previous or prior approval of a Government of India and by notification in official gazette, recognize the foreign certifying authority as the certifying authority for the purpose of digital signature certificate or any type of electronic record. So the prior approval of a Government of India must be made, and that is a certain condition as well as a restriction and specified in a specifying act. Otherwise, the foreign institution, they are not eligible for certifying authority. Where any certifying authority is recognized under subsection 1, then digital signature certificate issued by such authority shall be valid. Then the controller, if he is certified that any certifying authority has contravened any condition, then subject to certain restriction granted to recognition, that shall be cancelled by notification of a official gazette. So at any time the controller, if he thinks that there is any problem or there is any contravention made by the certifying authority, so with prior notice and a notification made by the controller in the official gazette, that shall be revoked. How the license should be issued to the certifying authority so that they are eligible to issue digital signature certificate. There is a special provision, and according to section 21 of the Act, the license to issue digital signature can be issued to any person provided they apply for it in a prescribed manner and fulfills all the obligations relating to qualification, expertise, everything. And the validity of the license is as per the terms and conditions prescribed by the Act. So now question arises, who can apply for grant of license as a certifying authority? That the following person. The persons are individual, being a citizen of India and having a capital of 5 crores of rupees or more. In that case, that individual is eligible to apply for digital signature certificate or certifying authority. Then a company is also eligible, but there is a provision that the paid up capital is not less than 5 crores of rupees and a net worth not less than 50 crores of rupees. A firm is also eligible to digital signature certifying authority provided the capital subscribed by all the partners of not less than 5 crores of rupees and the net worth is also not less than 50 crores of rupees. Then central government or state government or any other ministries of the department or agencies, they are also eligible for certifying authority as provision made by the government. The following parameters also related to grant of a license. The first one is there is application for license, second one is renewal of license, and the third one is suspension of license. So what is application for license? This is prescribed under section 22 of the Act, that in order to act as a certifying authority, one has to apply in a prescribed form, and that form provided by the Government of India accompanying with documents such as qualification, practice, expertise, experience, and with required fees. One individual, citizen of India having a capital of 5 crores or more and a company having a paid up capital of not less than 5 crores and a net worth not less than 50 crores, and a firm having capital of all the partners not less than 5 crores and a net worth not less than 50 crores, they are eligible to apply for license with the prescribed qualification, experience and a required fees. And apart from that, the central government, state government or a ministry of any government as well as authority or agencies, they are also eligible to apply for a license. There is one example, ABC company having a paid up capital of 3 crores rupees and a net worth less than 40 crores. So question is there, is that company eligible to issue license or not? That is no, because the capital subscription is not fulfilled. That means the capital must have to be 5 crores or more as well as the net worth must be 50 crores. So as this company is not certifying that, so that company is not eligible. After application there is renewal. So this is mentioned under section 23, a renewal of a license can be made by the certifying authority with a certain fees, and a license will be made before 45 days from the date of expiry. So one has to apply for a renewal before expiry of 45 days, otherwise the renewal will not be made. So there is a question that Peter X company that apply for license after 55 days of the expiry of the validity. So in that case, that organization or the company is not eligible, because the criteria is before expiry of 45 days one has to apply for a renewal. So here there is after expiry of 55 days the company is applying for a renewal, that's why that company is not eligible. Then another one is procedure for grant or rejection. This is mentioned under section 24 of the Act, and it is in the hands of the controller either to grant the license or to reject the renewal license if that is not applied in the prescribed manner, fulfilling all the condition or obligation. And an applicant must be given a reasonable time or opportunity for explaining all the defaults by him in such a case before rejection. So when there is a case of a rejection, in that case the organization or the company or the individual that have been provided with a reasonable time as well as opportunity to show all the defaults made by him, and then after if the controller satisfied that this is not in the case, then in that case there is a chances of a rejection. Then the last part, that is suspension of a license, which is mentioned under section 25. A license can be revoked if the controller certify the following grounds. There is a case of a false information when it is made in the application, in that case there is suspension. The condition and standards if it is not fully met by the applicant or by the company, and if there is any contravention as per the provision of the Act, so there is a chance of a suspension of the license. So license cannot be suspended for period of not more than 10 days and giving a party with a reasonable chance for such license. If license is revoked on a sufficient ground, then for such period of a suspension no digital signature certificate can be made. So there is another example for that. Controller of a certifying authority has revoked the license of a Mohan on the basis of a failing to comply with the standards under the Act without giving reasonable opportunity. So in this case the license will not be suspended for period exceeding 10 days unless the reasonable opportunity for showing the cause against the proposed revocation given to him. So these are the different grounds of a certifying authority, that is application, renewal and suspension of a license. So this is our today's class relating to digital signature and regulation of a certifying authority. What is the digital signature, how it is made, what is private key, what is public key, and what are regulation of certifying authority, and what are the criteria when the license is made. In our next class we will discuss the other parts. Till then, thank you, bye bye.